Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something pretty amazing, the sauna. I know you might think it's just for relaxing, but the latest science is showing it's one of the most powerful tools we have for a longer, healthier life. The Finns have known this for centuries, and now the data is just too compelling to ignore.
Okay, let's just start with this number right here, 40%. What is that? Well, according to a massive study, that's the potential drop in your risk of dying from any cause if you get into a regular sauna habit. That is a truly staggering number for a simple lifestyle change.
And it gets even better. Check out this next one, 65%. That's the reduction in risk for developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So, this isn't just about feeling good in the moment. We're talking about seriously protecting your brain for the long haul.
So let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. We'll start with the science behind these shocking numbers. Then we'll dive into how the heat actually heals your body on a cellular level. After that, we'll give you the exact protocol to get these results. We'll also look at the new research on the benefits for women, and finally, we'll tackle that big question, infrared or traditional sauna.
Okay, so the foundation for almost everything we know comes from this incredible Finnish study. They followed over 2,300 men for about 20 years, and what they found was just crystal clear. It's a dose-response story. Simply put, the more often you use the sauna, the bigger the benefits get.
And this chart really tells you everything you need to know. See that first bar? That's going once a week. That's our starting point. Now jump to 2 to 3 times a week, and whoa, you see a really nice drop in the risk of dying. But look at that last bar, 4 to 7 times a week. That's the sweet spot. That's where you hit that incredible 40% reduction.
And it gets even more dramatic when we zoom in on heart health. For those people hitting the sauna 4 or more times a week, the study found a mind-blowing 63% drop in death from things like heart attacks and strokes. That's just massive protection for your heart. Okay, so what is actually going on here? How does sitting in a hot box do all of this? Let's peel back the curtain and look at what's happening inside your body, right down at the cellular level. This is where it gets really cool.
First up, we've got something called heat shock proteins, or HSPs. The best way to think of these? They're your body's personal cellular repair crew. When you get into a sauna, that heat stress sends out an alarm, and your body just starts churning out these proteins. Their job is to run around and fix or clear out damaged, junky proteins, the kind of stuff that drives aging and brain diseases. It's literally a deep clean for your cells.
And then there's this, a gene called FOXO3. Scientists often call this the longevity gene, because they find it super active in people who live to be 100 or more. And here's the amazing part. The heat stress from a sauna directly flips the switch on this exact gene. It basically tells your cells to become tougher, more resilient, and stick around for longer. And it's not just 1 or 2 things happening. It's a whole cascade of benefits. Regular sauna use helps lower chronic inflammation, which is at the root of so many diseases. It also gives your heart a really good workout. Your heart rate can get up to the same level as a brisk walk or a light jog. It all comes down to this idea of hormesis. You're giving your body a small, manageable dose of stress, and that stress actually makes your whole system stronger. So the science is incredible, but how do we actually do this to get those results? You can't just wander in once a month. There's a specific protocol that all the data points to for unlocking these amazing longevity benefits. Let's lay it out. Here it is, the 4 key steps. First, frequency is everything. You're aiming for 4 to 7 sessions a week. Yep, that's a lot, but that's where the magic is. Second, you gotta stay in there for at least 20 minutes. Third, the temperature needs to be right. The studies use traditional saunas cranked up to between 174 and 194 degrees Fahrenheit. And fourth, this one's a no-brainer. You have to hydrate. A lot. And just to really hammer home why that 20-minute mark is so important, here's another number for you. The research shows that sessions lasting over 20 minutes are tied to a 52% lower risk of sudden cardiac death compared to shorter sessions. So yeah, the time you spend in the heat really, really matters. Okay, we have to talk about something really important here. Most of those huge, famous longevity studies, they were done on men. It's a big gap in a lot of older research, but thankfully, new studies are starting to give us a much clearer picture of the benefits for women.
So while we can't point to the same giant mortality studies for women just yet, what we do know is that the underlying biology, turning on those heat shock proteins, lowering inflammation, that stuff works the same for everyone. The mechanisms aren't gender specific.
And in fact, a recent study that looked at almost 400 women found some amazing benefits. Regular sauna use led to big drops in stress and anxiety, much better sleep, and just higher energy levels overall. Women also saw improvements in pain, whether from a tough workout or from rheumatic issues, plus better blood pressure and cholesterol numbers.
All right, this brings us to a super practical question that everybody asks. Should I use a traditional sauna or an infrared one? It's a pretty common debate, and the truth is the right answer really depends on you and your goals.
Let's just break it down nice and simple. Traditional saunas get way hotter, and they have the strongest science behind them, all those big Finnish studies we talked about. They're perfect if you want to get the absolute most of that hormetic stress response. Infrared saunas, on the other hand, run at a much lower, gentler heat. A lot of people find them way more comfortable. And their biggest advantage is that they can make it much easier to build that consistent, almost daily habit.
And really, it all boils down to this one simple idea. It doesn't matter as much if it's traditional steam or infrared light. What matters, what gets you that 40% reduction in mortality, is consistency. The absolute best sauna for you is whichever one you will actually use 4 to 7 times a week.
Now, one last thing I want to make super clear. Is a sauna a replacement for exercise? No, absolutely not. While it does mimic some of the effects of cardio, it doesn't build muscle or truly improve your aerobic fitness in the same way. You should think of the sauna as a powerful sidekick to exercise. It complements it, it boosts your recovery, but it doesn't replace it.
So, let's wrap this all up. When you step back and look at the evidence, a 40% drop in your risk of dying, a 65% drop in dementia risk, it's just undeniable. A consistent sauna routine is one of the single most powerful things you can do for your long-term health. The science is solid, and we know exactly how it works. Which brings us to the final question, and it's for you. The science is all there, the protocol is simple and straightforward, so the only question left is, what's your weekly longevity ritual going to look like?